Howdy folks. So since my last pen review videos were so well received, and since I like fountain pens, I thought I would order a few more and do a few more reviews. So this is the first of those pens that I just received. This is the Jinhao 599. Now this pen is not nearly as common as any of the other pens that I've reviewed, and just pens you can buy on eBay in general. This is quite an uncommon one, and as we go through the review, you'll probably find out why. I bought it simply just because not many people seem to have these, and I wanted to find out for myself, what this pen had to offer. So I'll go over it first, and then we'll go more into detail about the things I've found throughout the video. So this pen, first of all, it's all plastic. It comes in a bunch of colors. This is the black version, obviously. The end is just normal plastic. It's got a little indented ring around the outside. The first thing that you'll notice is the pen is flat on both sides, which gives it kind of an interesting feel. The back side, or what I'm just going to call the back side, is totally flat, and the front side has the word Jinhao embossed in it. And one of the features that drew me to this pen, one of the ones that I thought at least was kind of unique, is this little window. And you can actually see straight into the cartridge converter inside, and there's a window on both sides so you can see all the way through. And it's about half full of ink right now, so that's why when I tilt it, it goes black. We have an all plastic cap. We have a clip which has a hole in the middle, the Jinhao logo up here, just the logo, no words. And this clip is it's definitely sturdy, like it's not going to rip off the top, but you can open it a lot easier than any of the other pens, like the Jinhao X450, for example. That clip is, it doesn't bend at all. So this is a nice clip. I like this because you can actually put this on something rather than trying to pry it out with all your might. So that's nice. And the top is sort of just a polished, like a cap that sits above the flat line. And when you open the pen, you probably can't see this, but way down at the end there's actually just a big screw where they've obviously clamped this down, and the end cap, there's just a screw that goes all the way through those. Other than that, there's absolutely nothing in the cap. It's just a plastic tube, so it doesn't have any of those inserts like all the other pens that I've seen previously. We have a metal band here, just silver in this case, and then we have the grip area, which is made of the same material. It has no rubbery or plastic or different color or anything. It's exactly the same material as the rest of the body and the cap. And one thing that you'll notice is it has one indentation, two indentations, but no third indentation. So it has two grooves for your top, your index finger and your thumb, but it has no indentation for your third finger. And that feels really weird. At least to me, that's just strange. I'd rather have all three of them be indented or have it as perfectly round. It just feels weird. It may be fine for you, and maybe I'd get used to this, but it was the first thing that struck me. I did not know that when I bought this. I thought it had three all the way around, and it feels weird. That's the best way I can describe it. The nib is all one color. There is no gold inset anywhere. It still says on it 18 kgp, so I'm not sure if that's proof that none of these nibs are probably real gold. What is this? Is white gold? No, I don't think so. I think that's a complete bullshit. But anyway, so it's just a simple nib. It says Jinhao on it. It does have some embossing on it. It's not completely flat, but it's nowhere near as elaborate as something in, like, let's say the X450. And in terms of size, Obviously, it's nowhere near as big as the X450's nib either. But then again, the X450's nib is kind of ridiculously big anyway. Just because I have on hand the Bauer 388, it's the same size nib as that. So it's still a regular size nib. It's not super tiny or anything like that. In terms of opening and closing, it doesn't have the same kind of really satisfying snapping mechanism as the other nicer pens. Now, that's kind of expected because like I said, it's a completely plastic case. There's no insert in the lid to give you that kind of action. It still snaps together and holds together relatively well, but it's like a lower class of pen. And that's something I've sort of noticed with this, is it's just overall a lower end, cheaper pen, which is kind of unusual because the price of this pen is not really that far off from, the pen, something nicer. And I don't know why you'd buy this when you can get this for maybe 50 cents more. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And that's probably why these are not selling as well as anything else. So, standard cartridge converter pen, and it's a simple twist open. This actually has a relatively nice converter in it. It is actually branded Jinhao on there. And this one filled up all the way, first try, no issues like I had with my 388. So I'm pretty convinced my 388 has definitely got something wrong with it. So I'm going to swap the converters because I think you get the idea. I don't like this pen as much as the 388. 388 is my favorite pen. This is my favorite pen. So I'm going to swap the converter in this one when it runs out. Hopefully that fixes the issue. Anyway, you'll notice that in the thread area here we have two notches, one on each side. And that's because when you screw this on, the notches line up with the windows so that you can see through it. Now, the one thing I don't like about I like the window idea, but I think sort of a fail, and you can easily see it, is you can see a little bit of the silver from the top band of the converter on both sides. So I would be a lot happier if they'd used either a longer converter or something like that so that you don't see that and it's just straight through, because that silver band, I don't like it very much. But that's just a personal preference. The one really big issue I've had with this is how this opens. You'll just be writing and then this thing will start coming loose and it'll open up on you. You can't really tighten it because it's got a stop in it so that those windows line up with those notches. You can't, really tighten it so that it doesn't want to open. You can only make it really loosely tight because it stops and won't let you tighten it any further. So it wants to open all the time, and I don't like that. I don't like the feel of that at all. In terms of posting it, the cap fits very nicely. Grips it very well, in fact. So that's it. In fact, it grips it better than any of the other pens. I guess that's a plus. But again, because it doesn't have anything inside the cap, we'd expect that. In terms of balance, the pen is, I would write with this thing posted. It is, because it's all plastic, it is much lighter than the other pens. And we will check that in grams. It's about half full of ink, and it weighs only 17 grams with the cap. So that makes sense because the 388 was 25 grams and the X450 was 41 grams. So it is a light pen, but it's not. It's not the lightest pen, but it is definitely lighter than any of the other pens I have on hand with me right now. Now, in terms of how this writes, this nib, when I got it, was extremely scratchy, and it still is. I haven't really been able to fix that yet. Now, again, same claim as always, your nib is not my nib. I can't guarantee that the way my pen came is the way your pen's gonna come if you bought this, and it's probably not gonna have the same characteristics. So my pen was relatively dry and scratchy. The tines were misaligned. I looked at it under a microscope. I did manage to align them as well as I could anyway, and it's not bad. I do like the ink flow on this pen. However, it has a lot of dry starting issues, and also even when you're writing, it will stop flowing. I feel like I could tweak this nib and it would get better, but I don't know if I really care that much. I mean, you can definitely hear that. It's very, very scratchy in all the directions, really. I mean, but it does put down a nice amount of ink when it's working properly, I guess. It is actually quite nice. But like I said, every once in a while it'll skip or dry start. You can write upside down with it, and it does have relatively good flow upside down, and it's thinner, so you could do details and stuff with it that way. I mean, if this nib were not as scratchy, if I were able to smooth that out, I'd actually like the way this writes. But unfortunately, just the rest of the pen is just not the same quality. I mean, I'm definitely going to keep this pen and I'm definitely going to use it, but it's definitely not going to be my primary writing pen. It's going to be a pen that I'll keep in a bag, or a pen that if I trust it, in a bag. But I'll probably take it somewhere and leave it there in case I need a pen. One of those kinds of backup kind of things. I don't see myself using this, and the big reasons, the biggest flaws in my opinion are the fact that this twists open too easily, and the fact that it's missing that back indentation. It feels so weird in my hand. I don't know if I can get over that. But other than that, I mean, it's a lower end pen. So I mean, if it's much cheaper than something else, buy it. But if it's relatively the same price, I mean, even 25% is still like 50 cents to $1. I mean, it's nothing. So I'd recommend buying a nicer pen if at all possible, I guess. But it's not a fail, but it's just not for me, I guess. But anyway, I will post another video probably within the next few days of another pen. I just have to get a few days to use it. So hopefully you enjoyed that, learned something, found that a little interesting.